Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a moment to first off say thank you so much for all of the support. Absolutely love being able to get all the messages from you all and just seeing how many people we've actually been able to help. We've been able to help over 2,000 people break into medical device sales, and what this channel is really made for is for those people already in the industry that you could be an associate sales rep or you're in that first or second year in med device sales, but we just want to continue to help you progress. And why I wanted to share today's podcast, it's one I made back when I was still working with Innovis and I was still inside the industry, but I wanted to just come and resurface it to you all because it was just tips that I learned when I was still in the industry and what I had learned through the 4 years inside the industry that I really wanted to share with you all so you could avoid some of the mistakes I made early on or mistakes that I've talked to other reps and learned from. I want to be able to share that information so you can all have as much success as fast as possible. So I just want to again say thank you to every single person who sends out the messages. We want to be here without you all. And I just want you all to know that I can't wait to keep helping you all crush quota. I hope you really enjoy this podcast that we filmed a little while ago, but I still feel like it's going to be extremely helpful for each and every one of you. The one thing I get asked a lot, and it came up yesterday, was, hey, what can I make sure to avoid when I break into medical device sales? Or, hey, what's your advice to me, right? And I've given you guys some good advice of, hey, this is how I've had success. This is what I would say. But I wanted to go over some of the mistakes, what I wish I would have been told to avoid. And basically do the opposite and do that. And then you'll have success in medical device sales. And so again, you guys, if you haven't gone back and listened, why I'm talking to this is I was a personal trainer 3 years ago, decided to break in, got 4 offers, got with the top company in the world, took the lowest performing territory in the nation to top 10, went to be a regional sales manager in under 2 years. You usually need 7 to 10 years experience. And I was able to do it under 2. Now I run the whole Western United States. What this podcast is mistakes to avoid as a new rep in medical device sales. So starting us off at number 1, mistakes to avoid is you think you know everything. So don't know everything. And what I mean by that is so many people will come in when they break in or while they're going through the process and they're like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to crush it. I know I am. I know what I've watched a bunch of your videos or I talked to enough reps and I just know what to do already. As you will learn in this industry, there's so much to learn. There's reps that have been in here for 15, 20 years and they're still learning stuff every day. And so what I would just say to you guys is you want to make sure you're curious. You're always just learning. Just you'll hear it a million times, be a sponge, right? You come in and it's drinking from a fire hose. Everyone says it a million times and you guys have either experienced it or experience it right now. And so what I would just say is always make sure you guys are staying curious because that's going to help you always be a great rep. It's going to have you learning. It's going to be having you form into a new person and actually progress to where you want to be. Because so many times I see people who come in, they stay stuck in their ways, and that's why they're not successful. Because I love a couple of these podcasts I've been listening to, but one was about business that talked about the famous last words of any business is, we've always done it this way. And if you've always done it this way, it's not going to work in 2 years, 3, 5 years, right? It's the future. We're always evolving. We're always moving forward. And so that's the thing is you always need to be learning. You always need to be curious. You always need to be trying to understand what the new world is. Because for example, if you guys don't understand AI, but then now you know that you could use AI like ChatGPT and all these different things that you can use and has you write books or has you write all this different stuff, that could save your time, or you can ask questions, you can figure it out real quick. And so what I'm just saying by that is if you would have said that a year ago, people would have been like, what are you talking about? Right? And so it's just showing you how fast the world can change. And so when you are coming in as a new rep, just make sure you're being curious. You're trying to learn. I got really good advice from my one manager when she was like, make sure you go figure it out for yourself. And it was really great advice because I was coming into a low performing territory. Everybody had their thoughts. Everybody was telling me what it was. I had old reps saying, oh, I've already tried that. And it was like, just go try it for yourself. Just go see. And I decided to do that. And because of that, I had a lot of success because some of the things that they had said was the truth. What had happened in the past wasn't the truth. And also they had information wrong. And also new people were there. So they might have had an OR director. They might have had someone in purchasing who wasn't going to allow it. But then someone new was there. So then I was able to capitalize on that. So that's what I would just say is always be curious, always be ready to learn, always make sure that you're just wanting to become the best rep that you can be. Because so many times I see really people, what it is it's ego, and it's people not wanting their ego to get hurt. And they're like, oh, I already know this. Oh, I'm already better than everyone. Oh, I got hired at this age or whatever it is. And that's not going to help you at all. It's can you always be curious when you're in this industry? Number 2, not do your research. So avoid not doing your research, aka do your research. And what I mean by that is you want to know who you're talking to. So every time I'm going to see a doctor, when I would go and meet with them, I would look them up and I would always like, where do they work? And I still do this to this day. I just did one last week and I'll do it tomorrow when on my plane flying out, because my meeting's on Saturday. I'm going to look this person up. I'm going to get to know their background. Where do they study? Where are they originally from? What specialty are they in? How long they've been practicing? All these things, so you have an idea of who you know you're talking to. Because for me, it was always easy. If I found someone from the Midwest, Chicago, Wisconsin, Minneapolis, like all these different places, I could always just be like, oh, understand what it's like to be cold. And then it was simple messages like that the conversation just took off from there. And so that's what I would just encourage you guys, is always make sure you're doing your research on the facilities you're going into, to the doctors you're going to be talking to. Also, know your research on who your competition is, because you'll get the little, what the company will give you during your training. Here's the competitive analysis. But like, what you really want to do is, while you're in the OR, while you're in your job, be learning about it. Talk to other people. Hey, what do you like about this? Why do you like this better? Why do you like using it? Right? Even when I was with surgeons and I'm going up against competition, I'd be like, why do you use it? Why do you like it? Oh, that's interesting. Huh? Just in there to learn, because it's going to make you just better for your next time that you're seeing a new doctor, right? And you can speak to certain things that you might not know, because again, even though your companies are going to train you, a lot of times these trainings are really quick. You'll forget about stuff, but also your competition's coming out with new things and they're not going to blast it everywhere for everyone to see, because they don't want the competition to see it. So you're going to have to see it from actual talking to your doctors. But really, what I wanted to just really touch on that is doing your research, because there's a lot of people I'll see that just show up. Hey, we got a lunch, and they just show up and they're like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to this doctor, but they don't know that the doctor's from a certain area, or they came from a certain residency, or that they've been practicing in a certain specialty and then they switch to this. It's just being able to have those conversations so you have an understanding who you're talking to, so you can make that meeting even more enjoyable. You might do a little bit of research and find out they like golf. Guess what you can bring up? Golf. But all this is what I will have to say is, you don't see they like golf and you don't say, doctor, so you like golf? No, because of course they like golf. That's where you can use it to your advantage of being like small talk, and then bring up how you were golfing, and then they'll be like, oh, you golf? And then the conversation goes. So that's what I would just say, is do your research, because most people just come in, sit down and say, I'm here to try to sell you something, which we will speak on to in a little bit. But number 3, this is probably one of the biggest ones. We've spoke on this before, but it's not following through. So avoid not following through, aka you should follow through on your word. And so the thing I always tell people is, I'm going to under promise and over deliver. And so when you're a rep, that's what you want to do. You always want to under promise and you want to over deliver, because most reps overpromise and underdeliver. They say they'll be at a surgery and they don't show up. They say that they'll have the product here by next week, and then there's delays. And so it's like, don't even promise that, right? There's just certain things that I would just say is, you guys need to make sure you follow through. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. If you say you can help. If you say that something's going to be delivered, you better make sure that it's delivered, because, and then again, there's back orders, but then you need to over communicate and apologize and see how you can be a resource. That's what I would just say, because so many times I see these reps who, again, I said it on the last podcast, where it's like, if you just do what you say you're going to do, you'll probably be out 90% of reps, because most reps will be like, oh, I'll email you. They don't. Most reps will say, I'll follow up. They don't. Most reps say, I'll be there for a surgery. They show up late, or they miss the surgery, right? It's just, if you can do what you say you're going to do and follow through on your word and just have integrity, you will go so far in this industry and you will have a lot of success. And you have heard on the past podcast that how I've done it to have success with using some of the integrity. So I would just use that. Number 4, my friends, just start selling. So I would avoid that. Don't just start selling. What I mean by that is, so many people will be new reps and they want to just come in and they meet accounts and then they just start talking. They're like, oh my gosh, doc, I have this awesome product. You just got out of training. You're all excited and you want to just push it. But the thing is like, even in the OR, when you're talking to nurses, you're talking to scrub techs, they'll start selling their products to them and being like, oh, this is why it's better. This is why you should talk to Dr. A, B, and C, instead of getting to know who you're talking to. It goes back to the do the research, is get to know who you're talking to, because the thing that people miss is when you find out who you're talking to, you actually learn how to sell to them. You'll find out what they like, what they don't like. Are they caring more about the OR time? Are they caring more about the patient outcome? Are they caring about the price? Like there's going to be the different things, and you need to understand that. But also, when I go and talk to a person and I can just have a 2-minute conversation, I actually can figure out their communication style. I can figure out what makes them tick. I can find out personally from them is like what they get excited about. And so that's what I would keep encouraging you guys is don't just start selling, because so many reps come in, and we talk about this on one of the first podcasts where like this rep's she's in her first 6 months and she's trying to go get these big accounts, and she's like, oh my gosh, if I get this account, it's going to change out my everything. And this is what every single new rep does. Oh, if I go get this new account, it's the big shiny carrot. You guys are going to go after it. And then you actually start losing business at your accounts that are already established. And then you're like, all right, if I do this, I'm going to just crush it, and I will be known as a top 10 rep, and all these people will know who I am. And you actually start missing out, because now you're just going to sell, compared to you actually could grow your territory by just going to the people that you already have in the accounts, growing the relationships there. And then when you go to sell, you actually have more data. You've had more touch points with surgeons, had more of that conversation, actually used your products way more, so you can actually see what's good, what might need a little bit of work, or what you might need to troubleshoot a lot, and just set expectations as you go through that process. And if you can do that, I'm telling you guys, you will start having more success when you go to these new accounts. But too many people will try to start selling right away. First week, 2 weeks, first month, first 3 months, and they're going right away. And it's going to take some time, because you just need to become an expert at what you sell. Instead of selling right away, get to know those people. Get to understand who you're selling to, like we're talking about, and then you can start selling to them after that. But most people will just sit in and they'll be like, hey, my name's Jacob, I'm with Innovis, and this is what I sell. And the people are like, I don't care. It goes back to when I just had this talk with some of our people today as they're still trying to break into medical device sales. We have the course New to Medical Device Sales, aka if you guys didn't know. But I was talking to one of them, and one was when they sent out a message, it says, hi, Jacob, my name is, and then I just told him, I was like, you can copy and paste that so they know that you don't really care, and you never asked how they were. You didn't put anything. It was all about you. So nobody's going to respond. And that's why we were having that conversation, because nobody was responding to his messages. I told him to switch it up real quick of like, hey, or happy Thursday, Jacob. Hope you're doing great. Wanted to touch base. Bam. He messaged me after he switched that up, and within 30 minutes had already got a response just from changing that up. Why did I just tell you that? Same thing when you're in the OR, same thing when you're talking to people. Instead of saying, hey, my name is Jacob, I'm with Innovis Medical, and this is what we sell, blah, 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 blah. How about you go into and say, hey, Sharon, how are you today? Oh, that's great. Any big plans for the week? No, okay. And then start talking to them. And you're not going to do it in a selling way. That's the biggest thing I guess I can tell you guys is most people will get their talk tracks down and doing all this stuff. And which again, they've done the research. Yes. Are they helpful? Yes. You need to know what you're going to say. But what I've done and how I've had a lot of success is I bring it into a conversation. I start talking to them. Again, I'm a personal trainer. I'm about relationships. So it's me having a conversation with them. And then during that conversation, bringing up the points that I need to bring up. And hence going back to, hey, if I know they like golf, I already know that during that conversation, where's my place that I can put in golf? And then start talking about that and then have that conversation, right? Because if they like you and you can do it in the right way, I promise you'll have a way higher conversion rate with that. And then number 5, finally, my friends, is think it's easy. Make sure you avoid that you think this industry is easy. I have written down because this is just success. And it's all about success, but let's put it in medical device sales. Medical device sales, it's not easy, but it is simple. And people miss that. And same thing with success. Success isn't easy, but it is super simple. It's the showing up every single day. It's doing the same thing over and over every single day. It's the keeping of your word. It's the showing up to the cases. It's over communicating. It's super simple. It's hard to do. No different than the success when we talk about like even like fitness or whatever it is, right? If you want to have a good figure and you want to be healthy, it's easy to work out. It's easy to be ill, but sometimes for most people when they're on that journey, it's not easy to get themselves to the gym. It's not easy to put the burger down and eat better food, but it is simple. Eat less crap and move more, and you'll probably look pretty good. You know, if you drink plenty of water, you get plenty of rest, recovery, and you move and burn more calories than you take in, you'll be in a deficit. Good things. Very simple. It's pretty hard to do. That's why most people aren't successful. It is simple to be a successful medical device sales rep, but it's not easy because most people don't want to do this little things. That they don't want to get up early. They don't want to do the extra work. They don't want to do the research. And just going down this, they think they know everything. They don't want to do their research. They don't follow through on their word. They don't get to know the person that they're talking to. They just start selling. And those are the things that they do. And then that's why they don't have success. And then they blame it on other things. It's what I can just tell you guys. Success is super simple, but it's not easy because most people, like I can just tell you, most days I'm up at 5:15. So it's like most people don't want to wake up at 5:15. And I'm not saying you have to, but like that's what I do. Most people won't wake up. Most people won't do the messages every single morning that I send out. Most people won't do, and I just tell people it's the monotonous things that are over and over and over. And I listened to a podcast the other day. It's the same thing, and where success really comes in, it's almost doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, but most people just get bored. They can do it for 3 days, but they can't do it for 2 months. And that's why they can't be successful. So if you can just put that together and figure out what the recipe is and what's going to work for you, and then just do it over and over and over, you will have success. So I really hope that this was helpful. If you can, press that like and subscribe button. A 5-star review really helps us grow this channel. And like I said, please feel free to reach out to me. First Year in Medical Device Sales on LinkedIn and also on Instagram. You guys can DM us. Let us know what you would love us to go over for the next several podcasts. Again, we will be having more guests on. They've just been traveling, so I'm really excited to bring you them and their expertise and their experience, which I think is going to be fun for you just to see a different view, because we're going to get people from all different backgrounds and also all different walks of life, with also what divisions they're at in companies. So really appreciate you guys. Hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.